guys, welcome back to my channel. Today this video is going to be about the question that I've been asked a lot lately, which is why I left China. And I actually wasn't going to make a video about this because I felt like I kind of already answered it in my last China video, how to live in China. But a lot of you guys have been asking me to make this video, so I figured that I would. As you guys probably already know, I was based in China for over a year. I was based in the city Shenzhen, which is close to Hong Kong, and also traveled quite a bit around China. While I was living in China, it was an excellent base for me to keep traveling around China and to experience a different culture and also explore around Asia, because China is pretty good for flights to other countries in Asia, but it's at the same time really far from everything else. So for me to fly from China anywhere outside of Asia is pretty difficult, long flights, expensive flights. So that is a reason that, you know, I knew that it was coming to an end eventually, because I have explored a lot in Asia lately, but I don't want my channel and my travels to be exclusively in Asia. I want to go everywhere. I want to explore more places. Also, another part of that was Shenzhen itself for me. And I don't know if it's just me, but I seem to have this creative block with Shenzhen. And if I was just traveling through China, then I would probably stop in Shenzhen and make 1 or 2 videos. But living there and trying to find content and film videos about Shenzhen again and again and again was pretty hard for me. So I always felt like to make videos, I have to leave Shenzhen, which can be a big problem. You need videos. And if you don't feel like the location where you're actually strictly living is going to work for your videos and you have to travel, then that's not only just the expenses part, but just tiring as well. And then, you know, Livio is back at home and I would always be leaving so often, and I'd rather just live in a place where I can film videos all the time. Like I lived in Bali for 3 months. I never had trouble there. I would always be filming videos about Bali more and more and more. And I have nothing against Shenzhen. I think it's just like my personal taste for cities. I really like places that are super historic with, you know, all of these stories behind everything. And, you know, I love just walking down the street and thinking, oh, this is what happened on this street in the 1700s. And then later in the 1900s, this happened. And all of these stories in history that accumulate in a place, and that's just what I love about cities and living in a place. So in Shenzhen, that isn't really there because Shenzhen is a very, very new city. It is only about like 30 years old. Before that, it was just a tiny fishing village. And there are some historic spots in Shenzhen. Like there's historic spots maybe anywhere, but in general, there's not. Like Shenzhen is not a historic city at all. That's just not what it is. And that's what really inspires me. So whenever I would ask locals in Shenzhen, what is there to do here, they would always say, go to the mall, which I don't like shopping or malls, and that's just not to me like traveling. I don't want to go to the mall. And they would specifically say like go to Starbucks, or I don't know, go to Pizza Hut, go to KFC in this mall. And you know, not everything, but that would be a big part of it. Like always in a mall and always like a Starbucks, or I don't know, I just felt like I didn't come to China to go to Starbucks and KFC, you know? So this is obviously like not all of Shenzhen. There are definitely places you can go that are, I guess, like more interesting and more not so much like chain stores, but it's just definitely harder than in other places. So in order to make videos, I would always be coming and going and coming and going out of Shenzhen. I would be in Shenzhen for maybe a month and not filming content there, just working on videos that I had. And then I would leave. For example, I went to Shanghai and Suzhou, and I was there for maybe a week. So I would have a week to just film, and get crazy amounts of content and then fly back to Shenzhen and spend a month editing it all and putting out those videos. But in that time, you know, my content that I have is going down. Like I always see it like going down, 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 like, oh my gosh, it's getting low. I need to travel somewhere. I need to go somewhere and plan my next trip out of Shenzhen, and trying to think of how could I film this in Shenzhen, but I just don't feel like I can, and maybe that's not correct. But as I said, I'm very inspired by history, historical architecture, the stories of the city, and that just wasn't honestly there in Shenzhen. As for why I don't move to just another place in China, because China's huge and there's so many places. So I, as a traveler always flying, need to be by a airport where I can get accessible, meaning cheap flights. And Hong Kong airport, located just a little bit from Shenzhen, was huge for that because it's a really big airport and it's really cheap for getting flights. I've gotten so many amazing flights out of Hong Kong. Other big airports in China would be Beijing or Shanghai, but actually the flights out of there are more expensive than flying out of Hong Kong in general. And also to live in Beijing or Shanghai would be even more expensive than Shenzhen. So it was all just this balance. Also with my visa, I have a 10-year visa in China, but I have to exit every 60 days. And living in Shenzhen, it's super easy because you just take the metro into Hong Kong, cross the border, and then you can turn right around and come back into Shenzhen like 5 minutes after crossing the border, and that's your exit and entry, and I'm good. And it's just a lot easier. If I lived in Beijing or Shanghai, I would have to fly to another country and be there for however long. And you know, I know that I'd love to travel anyway, but it's different when you have to do it. Like maybe it doesn't coincide with your plans, or I don't know, but you have to do it. You have to actually leave the country, and that can be a big deal and be tiring to do every like 60 days. So I have a friend actually that he lived in Beijing, and he would have to exit every 60 days, and he would actually fly to Shenzhen, cross the border into Hong Kong and come back, and then fly right back to Beijing. And that just sounds crazy. Like that's a huge ordeal, and maybe I'd end up having to do that if I lived in Beijing. I don't know. I don't want it to sound as if I'm, I don't know, saying all this bad stuff about Shenzhen, because I actually love Shenzhen. It's really clean, it's really organized, it's really modern, it has great coffee shops, the people are really friendly, and there's a lot of young people there that are students or young business people, and I just find that in Shenzhen they're very open about the world and had really good conversations with even just random strangers. I guess anywhere that you live is a balance. And in Shenzhen, it was just more of the balance of like comfortable hanging out, not necessarily content. So yeah, as I said, Shenzhen wasn't a deciding factor for me to leave China, because obviously I could have just gone somewhere else or just kept doing what I was doing, traveling out of Shenzhen. But I never came to China to live there forever. I always knew that a time would come when I would leave, because I am a traveler. Actually, I don't know where I'm gonna live next. I'm in India right now. I've been in Romania. I'm going to Guatemala, and I am going to visit my family in the US, and I am also going to the Bahamas. So there's like where I'm going to next. That's another big question you guys always ask. So now you know my plans for a little bit. And if you have any ideas of where you think that I should be based next, then I guess leave them in the comments below, or let me know what you think about what I said. I know that one day I will be back, and yeah, hope that I answered you guys' question. I'll see you again somewhere else in the world coming up very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!